Hi, everyone. Welcome to this LinkedIn Live event with Instruqt. Our guest speaker today needs no introduction. Wes Bush, the best-selling author of the book Product-Led Growth. He's also one of the most sought-after product experts in the world. Hi, Wes. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Connie.
I've been following you on LinkedIn for a while and read your book as well. I'm so inspired by you, super excited about our discussion today on product-led growth. Before we get to that, I would like to ask our audience to put in the comments and let us know where you are from.
Yes. Yes, I'm from Toronto, Canada, but I'm also curious where everyone else is tuning in from as well. So put it in the comments. I want to know.
Yeah, and we are Instruct. We are based in the Netherlands, so broadcasting live from near Amsterdam.
Awesome. I like your office backgrounds. It's looking cool. Some artwork.
Yes, it is really a very cool office here. Everyone who comes here visited us, they are all really impressed. So happy to be here. So hi, everyone. It's nice to see our audience coming from different parts of the world. Very nice to see you all. So for the benefit of those who are new here, I want to take this opportunity to share with you how Instruct is helping software companies fuel demand and boost product usage. Now, Instruct is a hands-on virtual IT labs platform. We enable software companies like you to remove the barrier to your product. On our platform, you can create and deliver self-service demos, hands-on tutorials, and training on real technology, real environments. Our customer use Instruct for lead generation, sales enablement, and customer training. Companies like HashiCorp, Puppet, Red Hat, they have used Instruct to generate millions of dollars in sales pipeline. So I'm going to show you one of the use case on our platform towards the end of the show so that you get a better understanding of what I just described to you. Just a little reminder, at the end of the session, we'll be giving away 50 copies of Wes's book. So stay tuned until the end of the show. So, hey, Wes, there are many things I want to talk to you about. But before we go too deep, maybe it's beneficial to understand how you define product-led growth.
Yeah, absolutely. Great place to start. So one of the I guess, core tenets of product-led growth and what it really is to me is when you're using your product as that main growth lever to grow your business. And so that can cover your acquisition, that can cover your activation, retention, and so on. So it's really just when you have that mindset as a team to really look at your product, it's not just something you sell, but really how you serve people. And it's been pretty cool over the years to just see how companies are actually doing this. Like for instance, for a marketing team, yes, you could write 1,000 blog posts on landing pages and all that fun stuff, or you could actually create a free landing page tool and get people in and really learning about your product before maybe the next step is they use another part of your product and go on from there. So for every team in a product-led business, it's fascinating to see just how you can start to think about using the product to really build a growth engine for your business. So that's a little bit about how I see product-led growth, but I'm curious to hear your perspective as well.
Yeah, so I think it is really wonderful that finally everyone is focusing on the product and delivering value to the customers. So not only just maybe the product team, but also the sales and marketing getting together and put actually values right in front of the customers. And I believe at the end of the day, that's a real win-win situation.
Totally.
So in your book, you mentioned that not all companies are suitable for product-led. Can you explain how companies should go about determining whether they should continue with a sales-led approach or to go for product-led?
Yeah, absolutely. And so since writing the book, I really do feel like still all companies can be product led, but there is going to be some certain red flags where you got to like reconsider if now's the right time to go down this path or not. So I could go through the four main things that I'd recommend to watch out for, but I'll just touch on one of the biggest ones here. This is if you have a really new market, you're really creating a new category, a new space. If you're in that particular environment, what you're often having to do if you're selling your product is you're having to educate people quite a bit about this new problem that you're solving with your particular software or solution. And so there's just a lot of education. And in that time, your sales team is actually going to be pretty darn valuable because they're helping people go through that, understand the problem, challenge them a bit, and really, at the end of the day, help them discover if this is a really great way of solving the problem or not for themselves. And so if you find yourself in this like blue ocean, you're creating net new demands, and it is a bit more of a complicated product, a lot of times I would say, hey, wait a minute, like just continue with your sales-led motion right now. But eventually, once that market starts heating up, it starts getting more competitive, people start understanding that problem faster, you need to move down that product-led path very quickly before the competition catches up and starts using that model, which is the most powerful customer acquisition model in your market, against you. You want to be one of the first movers whenever it comes to that. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, definitely. Well, my next question is, which is actually a very hot topic for customer acquisition. And you see a lot that people asking that also on LinkedIn, actually, right? Free trial versus freemium versus demos, which is the traditional sales approach. What's your take on it?
Yeah, so this one's tricky because it's always going to be like, it depends. And it truly does. Like, is it going to be a free trial or is it going to be a freemium model? Is it going to be a demo? And so each of them has different risk, pros, cons. And I would actually argue too, there's a lot more variance of that than most people are aware of. There's other things called like a usage-based free trial. There's mixing and matching, like having free trial, then freemium, or freemium and then a free trial. Honestly, I've seen so many different combinations of this, but what it really comes down to is what kind of value are you providing in your product? If you could really just focus on one area of that, your time to value is really going to be a really good indicator of what model will you choose. And so, for instance, let's go back to like you have this on-premise solution. It's super complicated to use. And you might actually want to consider just staying with or having that demo option so people can really go through, have a quick conversation versus setting something clunky up that takes forever to set up. They can actually save a lot of time. It would be a quicker time to value potentially if it is that demo. Whereas, for instance, if you are able to sign up in that product, see the value within, let's say, less than a week, or maybe even you could do it on that first time you sign up, a free trial could be really helpful because in that first 7-day period, people can understand the product. They can really see the value for it. Now, if you have a longer time to value, this is something new where my thoughts on it have definitely changed. If you have a longer time to value, but it's still an easy product to get set up at the beginning, sometimes freemium can be the better fit. So I'll give you an example. This company was called Tetra. They're still around. They're doing awesome things. The founder is amazing if you want to check them out. But it's a company wiki tool. So if you sign up for the product, it's kind of like Google Docs, but it's a bit more powerful than that. You can go ahead and create a wiki. But what they realized is initially they had this free trial and people just weren't sticking around. They're like, hey, it's easy to use and like everything else. But for some products, the true value builds as you get integrated into it, as you use it more. And so in their case, when they made the switch to freemium, it was like a night and day difference for their business. They're able to get a ton more value from it because people were able, in about 2 to 3 months of using that product, to start seeing the compounding effects of having this company wiki working for them. They were saving a lot of time. And by that point, it was a no-brainer for them to really make that upgrade decision. And so if you do have something that could be a bit quicker to set up, but might be, take a bit longer for them to see the full potential value of that product, sometimes freemium in that case can be a really great fit, because you're not putting this artificial timeline on like, hey, you got 7 days, you got to sign up now, which we know is fake. But it's like, okay, how long does it actually take for someone to really get embedded in this product and really start enjoying it? So I hope that gets people thinking about some of the considerations you should take around it. I see Amberly, yes, time to value is so important.
Yeah, definitely. Well, maybe just moving on to the next topic, which is quite sensitive, I think, in many organizations, right? When companies started to say, okay, well, I think it's time to go product-led because we get many benefits. Less acquisition costs, higher revenue per employee, many benefits that can be identified. But then what happened to the sales? What messages, right, are you giving to the sales team? But actually, I think product-led growth is also great for the sales team. What do you think, Wes?
Yeah, and so it took me a month when writing the book on product-led growth to come up with the subtitle. It sounds so silly because I'm like, okay, it's literally just a subtitle. I knew it was going to be called product-led growth, but the other part, it was a toss-up between like how to build a product that sells itself, or like even as bad as like how to build a 24/7 sales machine. I was like, oh, this is awful. So, oh man, it was embarrassing. Luckily, I like posted in the product-led growth free Slack community, and like people are telling me like, no, that's awful, Wes, don't go ahead with that. But like I say all that because I really wanted, or I thought, like, if you are being truly product-led, your product actually does do the majority of the selling. And that is done by when someone goes into your product, they start experiencing the value of that product. They're making a really educated decision when they pull out their credit card and say, you know what? I really like this product. It either saved me a ton of time or it really helped me. I'm confident that if I pay for this product, it's going to continue doing so. And maybe even I'm going to get access to more fun things within that product. So it is going to be a great decision. And so you've de-risked it for them along the way by showcasing the value of your product. And so what does that mean for sales? If the product can do a lot of the selling, if it can do a lot of the convincing and trust building exercises by just showcasing the value, what does sales do? Now, in some product-led businesses, they've decided if it's like a $10 a month solution, they might even go as far and say, you know what, in this particular product, we don't need sales. And if you think of like, for instance, Netflix, okay, is like Netflix going to call like a family account and say, hey, you need to start upgrading your sister and your brother. And we really want to expand your account. No, there's some use cases where it just doesn't quite make sense. But if you're in the B2B world, a lot of the times, more often than not, what you're seeing nowadays is people starting to use the product for free, or the free trial or a freemium model, and they're getting their feet wet, they're understanding the value of the product. And as they bump up on some of the usage levers, or they start expanding into that count, it just becomes a natural conversation where, let's say for Slack, since we're all familiar with Slack, if you start hitting your message limit pretty quickly, you're losing access to some of your files, and you're aggressively adding a lot of team members.
I've seen that before myself personally.
Same here. And you start realizing like, oh man, like these people are going to lose like most of their files in the next month at the current pace they're adding these users. So why don't we actually go through their account, try and find like who is the decision maker, who is maybe the person in finance or something like that, just to kind of let them know like, hey, we are noticing this issue. Is this something you'd like to address or not? And it's providing a lot of value. And so sales is usually whenever you roll out this product-led initiative, a bit more resistant because there is that stigma around, yes, the product can sell itself in some cases. But what that really means is the smaller accounts, the ones who they oftentimes don't want to spend too much time with because it might not be worth it from an account value perspective, those accounts can go completely self-serve. And then there's this other bucket, let's say for the mid-size accounts, where it could be more low touch. They reach out as needed, as whenever they think they can add value to the conversation. And then for other people, they can still have the sales reps focus on the enterprise side of the market.
Okay, well, so you just talk about like if the product can sell itself, but in the situation when the product cannot sell itself, in the sense that maybe it is disrupting a market, something very new, you need sales around to explain the value. Complex on-premise software. Can these companies benefit from a product-led growth mindset?
Yeah, absolutely. And I always think back to, if you look at product-led growth and every piece of what it takes to make a successful product-led business, let's just take one aspect of it. So getting someone to value faster. Now, if you're still completely sales-led, here's actually one area I'd recommend you trying to focus on. So let's say right now, if you are completely sales-led, you have this customer onboarding sequence. Let's say it's 4 calls with every new customer. Each call walks them through how to use your product and how to get to value as they're using the product. And so what if you started looking at those 4 calls and just broke it down? Like, okay, in this one, we're really just showing them the dashboard and all these interesting things that our product can potentially do. On the second call, we really focus on like this one piece, which is a specific feature that can be a bit complicated, and we go through that. So what if you took each of those current manual processes and you broke it down and said, you know what? That first call, that dashboard overview, why don't we just get someone as soon as they sign that contract, we set up an account for them automatically. And we have something, whether it's AppUse, Pender, or something, or even Instruqt, to kind of guide people through just how you could use that dashboard, how you could use that part of the product very quickly, and hopefully get them to that value without them having to hop on a call and go through that with you. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with hopping on a call and going through the product. It's really useful for the company from a user research perspective too, but it's just thinking about how could we reduce and really break down the time it takes for someone to experience the value of that product. So that's just one example of how, if you are even like on-premise, how you could think about using the philosophy of just delivering value faster in your business.
Thanks. So thank you so much for answering some of the burning questions we hear from sales and marketing and software companies on product-led growth. And I think that a lot of people have also talked about the fact that the way people buy and learn software has changed, and people really want to try before they buy, experience the software before they buy. So I promise to give everyone a quick preview of our platform. So let me just take a moment to show an example, a use case for lead generation on our platform. So here you'll find Ansible Tower, which is an IT automation tool built by Red Hat. And they use the Instruct platform for lead generation to showcase the Ansible Tower features. So they have created some challenges on our platform for prospects and customers to interact with the product. Now, what we do is we spin up the sandbox environment so that the customers and prospects can get hands-on with your software right on the browser. They don't need to configure or install anything. So now I get here the Ansible Tower dashboard environment. First, I have an assignment, which is to log in. So I'm going to follow the instruction here. So as you can see that you have the complete application on the left-hand side of Ansible Tower. The sandbox environment is entirely customizable by the content creators. You can expose different user interfaces, terminals, code editors, you name it. Our platform works with both code-based and UI-based application. If you need to connect with cloud resources, you can also get temporary access to an entire cloud project. Now, on the right-hand side, you have the instruction explanations. So let me just press the check button. So I did it correctly when I logged into the environment. And here on the screen, you will see an explanation of what is inventory in the Ansible Tower environment. You can also include a video to explain, to provide some information to the users. And when you click the button, then you get to an environment where you have the next challenge. Now, what you can see here is that you can resize the view as you see fit. And with the instructions and the video which you saw just now, they also appear here. So it is extremely handy for the users because everything is in one place. They don't need to go to another window to get other information. Now, with the assignments, the idea is to let people get hands-on experience and interact with your software. And even if they break it, that's no problem because it is a private sandbox and they can start all over again with a brand new sandbox. So here on the instruction, it said that I need to create an inventory called Instruct. Now let me just ignore that and see what happened. Now you see on the bottom left corner, it said incorrect solution because I have not created an inventory yet. Oops. Okay, let's see. Inventory. If I look at the menu on the left-hand side, there is something called inventories. I guess this is where I should be. So here, I'm going to create an inventory. But I'm going to be naughty today. I don't use Instruct. Let me see if I could say test, if it works. So the check button again, inspect the sandbox environment. So no, I cannot get through. See, there is also like, there is no inventory with name Instruct. So I will do it again. And check again. So now it works. So you can be sure that your users are not lost in this environment. You create step-by-step guidance for them to take actions and provide feedback on the actions. Of course, you want to know what happened to the users that are interacting with my sandbox. So the analytics part for the content creators will be able to provide details on how your users are interacting with the sandbox, how many started, how many completed. We also have a user happiness rating. And you can also see on a granular level by challenge, how many people have started, finished, or how many attempts they made. So you can offer a free trial to help people experience your product, but if it is an empty product, you pray that people see the value. Or if you offer a test drive, and in this example, it is a full feature sandbox with data and integration and step-by-step guidances for people on the use cases they can relate to. And on maybe the last point that I want to make here is if you're looking for a demo solution for your pre-sales, think about it. In this contained and controlled environment, you can confidently demo your software. You use your CLI to automatically test the content and add it to your CI pipeline jobs. So your users never run into broken content. So that's another reason why I think you'll love Instruct. All right. So, well, this is just a very short demo. So I hope everyone understand what I was trying to explain at the beginning. Wes, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. I really appreciate your time. And I'm sure our audience is hungry to find out more. And one way is to start by getting hold of your book. As mentioned in the beginning, we are giving out 50 copies of Wes's book. So what you can do is to scan the QR code on the screen, and then it will take you to a landing page to submit your details. The first 50 people will receive the book. So we'll give you just some time to scan the QR code. In the meantime, maybe just a question for Wes. What was your inspiration to write this book in the first place?
Yeah, definitely. Good question. So one of the first reasons I wrote this book was I was helping for about 3 years at that time, companies, B2B SaaS companies, become product-led before it was even called product-led growth. And I started realizing there was specific patterns, certain things that I had done from business to business that would just generate results. And so I'll give you one example. Whenever someone signs up for a product, most times there's about like 40 to 60% of people will just never come back to that product again. And so I started looking at that. I'm like, wow, that's that's a lot of people. How could you get them to come back? And so I really started focusing on that whole onboarding experience and reducing friction and helping people get to value faster. And what I realized is when you do that, people are more willing than ever before to easily become a paying customer because you've helped them show success in the product and you've helped them solve their problem. And so I started realizing that, built a couple of frameworks around it. And the book was really just my way of dissecting it for myself to really clarify that methodology and really help more people, don't have to be my client or not, to really experience some of the value that you can experience when you become product-led. So yeah, that's why I wrote the book.
Yeah, I really recommend you guys to read the book. I've read it twice, I must confess. It was so interesting, so much useful information and inspiration. I want to answer just one question I saw from the audience because I was showing the user happiness, and the question was how we measure the user happiness. Is actually based on the users. When they finish the challenges, they can tell the content creators. We have a rating with 5 emojis. So that's where the measurement, it comes from the users. And so also, looking at the, yes, so go ahead, Wes.
Oh, I was going to mention, there's another way too, like within your product. I call it product qualified leads. So it's basically whenever someone has experienced some meaningful value within the product. For Slack, this could be like 10,000 messages is sent in that installation of Slack. For Drift or Intercom, it could be like people have sent 100 messages this month. It's just an indicator of value exchange. And so if you can find what that metric is within your business and you measure it consistently, that's one of the best ways you can measure user happiness, because you're looking at from even your marketing funnel and seeing, you know, like what percentage of users actually genuinely experience the value of the product. And the more you try and improve that, the better all your other metrics like churn and upgrade from free to paid will start looking like when you focus on that.
Cool. So looking at the time, I guess we come to almost the end of the show. I want to thank Wes again for joining us today. And I also want to quote actually in the last chapter of your book, you said how you sell is just as important as what you sell. It is so true. And I also want to thank our audience today. Hope you enjoyed the session. This is our show today, and see you at our next live event with our friends from HashiCorp. So follow Instruct on LinkedIn and stay tuned for the invitation. Bye for today. Thank you.